Hey guys, tonight, we're plunging headfirst into the filth-caked, straw-scratching, bone-aching reality of waking up in medieval times as a shoeless peasant. You open your eyes to a wooden ceiling, rough-hewn and darkened by decades of smoke and soot. Your nostrils sting from the mingled stench of animal droppings, yesterday's fire, and sour sweat clinging to wool tunics that haven't seen water since the last rainstorm. And that was months ago. There's no mattress beneath you, just a sagging pile of straw crawling with fleas. You scratch the bites on your ankle only to realize you're not wearing shoes. That's not an accident. You don't own shoes. And the floor dirt. Not metaphorical dirt floor like you've seen in movies. Literal earth trampled and hardened by years of bare, blistered feet. In this world, your toenails are jagged, cracked, maybe blackened. Your soles are tough, but not invincible. Step wrong on a hidden thorn or rusty horseshoe nail, and you're in real trouble. No antibiotics, just rot. You probably won't survive this. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I pour a lot into these stories, and your support helps keep them going. Also, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is where you are. I love seeing the global bedtime crew. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your eyes adjust to the gloom inside the cottage. One small window covered in animal bladder to filter light glows faintly in the corner. There's a bit of movement beside you, a snoring sibling or a cousin or some random child from the neighbor's family who's been boarding with you since their cottage flooded last spring. Privacy doesn't exist here. Bodies pile in the same straw heap, huddling for warmth through the long nights. It's barely dawn, but the day has begun. You swing your legs off the bedding and place your naked feet directly on the cold, unforgiving floor. The air bites. You shiver. No chimney means smoke from last night's fire still hangs in the rafters, too heavy to rise. It clings to your lungs like damp wool. You cough. You reach for your only shirt, a coarse linen tunic stiff with grime. There's no changing it. This is it. You wore it yesterday, the day before, and all the days before that. You tie a frayed rope around your waist to keep it closed, and then fumble in the dark for your outer smock. There's a sound outside, wooden wheels creaking, a rooster crowing off rhythm, and distant coughing from other thatched cottages. You duck your head beneath the lintel and step into the muddy lane that cuts through the village. It squishes beneath your bare feet, a mix of manure, urine, and yesterday's rain. You flinch. You never quite get used to it. You just tolerate it. Your village is small, maybe 20 homes arranged in a lopsided loop, clustered around a central green that's really just trampled pasture. The manor house sits on the hill above like a watching hawk. You glance at it. Not with resentment, just with the bone-deep knowledge that it's not your world. You're down here, shoeless, toothless, powerless. You begin your morning task. Today you've been assigned to the Lord's fields. You'll walk 2 miles barefoot to reach them. The frost crunches beneath you. Every stone, every frozen clump jabs into your soles. It never stops hurting. You don't talk about the pain, though. Everyone's got it. Complaining gets you nothing. You pass other peasants, children your age, already carrying bundles of sticks, old men bent double under sacks of rye, women with faces as cracked and weathered as dry clay. No one greets you with a smile. There are nods, grunts, maybe a glance. This is a tired world, a resigned world. You wonder what your life is supposed to become. You're around 12, maybe 13. But who's counting? Your birth wasn't recorded. You only know it was sometime during a summer harvest, and your mum remembers it rained that day. You were born in this cottage on this straw into this cycle. You've never been to a city. You've never seen a map. You've never even seen the sea, though. Your grandfather says he once met a man who had. As you walk, your feet slowly numb, but sharp edges still bite. One wrong move could open a wound you can't afford. You try to walk light, careful, but you're also rushing. Because if you're late, the reeve will note it, and that might mean punishment, or worse, your family losing favor with the steward. And losing favor is dangerous. When you reach the field, the work begins without instruction. You already know what to do, everyone does. Your hands are calloused. Your back bends with the rhythm of labor passed down through bodies like yours for hundreds of years. The plow team is already moving. You help scatter seeds or gather dung depending on what's needed. You try not to flinch as your bare feet squish in the muck, or when you feel something wriggling just beneath the surface. By midday, you've eaten nothing. Breakfast doesn't exist. You might get a crust of bread at noon if someone remembers. If not, you'll wait until evening and hope the pottage isn't too watery. Hunger isn't a crisis here. It's the background noise of your life. You steal a moment's rest under a withered tree at the edge of the field. You rub your aching foot, which has begun to blister. You find a sharp pebble embedded in the ball of your foot and pick it out with a stick. You sigh. It's nothing. Not serious. Not yet. The sun crawls through a sky the color of old parchment. By late afternoon, you're walking home again, limping now. You glance at your toes and see blood drying around the nails. You'll soak it in the stream if it hasn't frozen. Or maybe just wrap it in old cloth and hope for the best. You won't be the first peasant to limp through life. The village comes back into view, smoke curling from low rooftops. Children scurry between cottages. A pig squeals in protest. You pass the alewife's home and smell sour mash. You pass the smithy and feel the warmth of glowing coals even from a distance. Your body is trembling with exhaustion as you reach your cottage. You duck back inside, letting the darkness swallow you again. Your family is already inside, crouched around a bowl of thin stew. You take your turn, just a ladleful, but enough to stop the hunger gnawing at your gut. There's no conversation, no entertainment. Someone mumbles a prayer, then everyone lies down. You find your place in the straw and curl your raw, blistered feet beneath you, pressing them against your sister's legs for warmth. The darkness is total. No candle, no fire left. Just your breathing and the soft crunch of straw as bodies settle. Tomorrow will be the same. The same hunger. The same ache. The same walk shoeless and sore. And as your eyes close, you wonder just briefly what it might be like to wear shoes. Not the Lord's boots, not even leather sandals, just something, anything, a barrier between your skin and this cruel earth. You dream of them wooden clogs maybe, or scraps of hide tied with twine. You imagine them warm, dry, magical. You won't wake up with them. But for a moment in the dark, they feel real. Morning comes without ceremony. There's no alarm, no sunrise slipping through silk curtains. Just a shift in the darkness, a murky kind of gray seeping into the corners of your hovel, nudging the edges of your dreams. You blink awake to the same scratchy straw, the same sour breath in the air, the same cold stinging your feet before your eyes are fully open. Your foot still hurts. You flex it and feel the blister now hardened at the edge but swollen underneath. It will get worse before it gets better. You already know this. You've watched other villagers limp for days, then disappear. You rarely ask where they go. Sometimes they recover. Sometimes they're just gone. Today's chore isn't in the fields, it's the stream. Your mother gives you a cracked wooden bucket and a whispered reminder. Clean water, not the brown part near the pigs. You nod. You've made that mistake before. The stream is downhill from the village. The path is rough, the stones cold, and every step pulls at the sore beneath your foot like a dull tooth being twisted. You walk gingerly, wincing, but not stopping. There's no luxury in stopping. The forest looms to your left, dark and full of secrets. You're warned not to go in. Wolves, thieves, spirits, maybe even worse. You don't question it. The forest is like a wall at the edge of your known world. All your life has been contained within its shadow, and you've never stepped beyond it. The stream gurgles quietly ahead. A few other peasants are already there, hauling water or scrubbing tunics against smoothed stones. You nod at them, but don't speak. There's no conversation, not in the morning. Everyone is conserving energy. Words are like coin. Spent too easily, and you'll have nothing left for the work ahead. You step into the icy shallows hissing as the cold surges over your toes. The pain sharpens you, makes you alert. But there's a strange comfort in it too, a cleansing sting that feels more alive than anything else in your morning. You rinse your foot quietly, wheeze flicking between the bubbling water and the worn cuts across your sole. You notice red spiraling away from your skin. It's not deep, but it's not clean either. You rub it with a strip of cloth, hoping it's enough. Then you kneel, fill your bucket, and begin the walk back. The weight sloshes with every step, and by the time you're halfway home, your arms are already trembling. Your tunic clings to you with sweat despite the chill. Passing the manor's stone wall, you steal a glance upward. It looks like another world. 2 tall windows framed in wood, a flicker of candlelight within. You wonder if the Lord's children are still asleep. You wonder what their feet feel like. Clean, shoed. You imagine embroidered slippers or thick woolen stockings warmed by fire. It's a cruel sort of daydream, but you let it linger. Back at the cottage, your mother takes the water and you're given your next errand. The thatch on the roof is sagging, leaking in places, and the steward's men are doing inspections this week. If your home is deemed unfit, your family could be fined or worse, evicted. You need straw, a lot of it, which means a walk to the outer fields. You're not going alone, though. Your younger brother, barely 8, and quieter than most shadows, is sent with you. He clutches a rope basket and stares at the ground as he walks. He doesn't complain, doesn't speak. He hasn't known anything else. He's already accepted this life as his only story. You try not to let the bitterness show, but it's there, creeping behind your ribs. You want to scream that he deserves better, that both of you do, but you know what that would sound like in this world foolishness. Dreaming is dangerous here. It opens wounds that never close. The walk to the field is long. The sun, weak and silvery, hangs above like an exhausted eye. You pass the same broken fences, the same leaning carts, the same soot-dusted chickens pecking at frozen dung. Every inch of this village has been carved by time and indifference. You know its every sound, every smell. It owns you. When you reach the thatch pile, bundles left after last season's rethatching, you begin gathering. It's rough work. The dried stalks scratch at your arms and neck. Fleas jump freely from the old straw, nipping at your skin. You ignore them. You have to. Your brother sneezes, and you hand him a handful of dried grass to stuff into the basket. "Don't drop any," you whisper. He nods solemnly. You pause for a moment, letting the wind wash over your face. There's a sound in the distance, bells from the chapel tower. Mid-morning. That means the manor reeve will be making his rounds soon. You pick up the pace. By the time you return, your arms are burning your palms raw from the rough thatch. Your brother trips once on the road, and you both scramble to gather the straw he spills. You make it back just before the steward's man comes to inspect. He's dressed better than most leather boots, clean woolen cloak, a staff in hand. He barely glances at your family as he circles the hut. You stand outside trying not to shift your weight onto your injured foot. He makes a note on a piece of parchment, then walks on. No word, no fine, no eviction. Relief comes like a warm breeze just for a second. Your mother exhales. It's the closest thing to joy you'll see today. With the inspection passed, you're sent to the communal oven. Each family takes turns baking their allotted barley loaves. You carry a round lump of dough on a wooden tray, careful not to stumble. The oven is hot, smoky, and always surrounded by villagers. You wait your turn, watching loaves crisp and blacken at the edges. While you wait, an old woman eyes your foot. She squints, then spits into her palm, and mutters something about leeches and cabbage poultices. You nod politely, but back away. You've learned not to trust the village remedies unless there's truly no choice. When your loaf is done, you walk back home with it still warm, its crust cracked and inviting. It's not much, but it will be dinner. Maybe even tomorrow's breakfast if you can ration it. The day crawls toward dusk. Your blister stings with every step. Your shoulders throb. Your mind drifts in and out of hunger and weariness like waves on a gray sea. Back home, the bread is torn, not sliced. There's no knife sharp enough anyway. You each get a piece. Your brother eats with wide, grateful eyes. Your father grunts approval, his mouth full. You chew slowly, stretching the taste. No one talks about dreams here. No one talks about someday. But as you lie in the dark again, feet pressed to your sister's calves, breath rising in little clouds above your mouth, the thought returns. What if you had shoes, even just scraps? Even just something to put between you and this brutal world? But the answer, like everything else here, lies out of reach. And still, somehow, you sleep. The rooster doesn't wait for sunlight. It never does. Its cry shatters the silence while the sky is still a murky shade of ash. You groan quietly, but there's no time to linger. The fire needs to be stirred from last night's embers before the warmth of the coals disappears entirely. You stretch careful not to disturb the fragile scab on your foot and shuffle toward the hearth. There's hardly anything to burn, just a few twigs gathered from the lane, and a crust of dry dung shaped and dried weeks ago for this very purpose. You crouch low and blow gently into the ash. The embers glow. You feed the little flame, carefully coaxing it back to life. A flicker of warmth touches your hands. Not enough to chase the cold from the room, but enough to thaw your fingers. Your father is already outside, splitting what's left of a tree stump with a rusted hatchet. It's the only firewood you'll have for days, so it has to last. You pass him without words. He doesn't expect them. Today you've been assigned to the Lord's pig pens. It's dirty work, worse than the fields, worse than the stream, but someone has to do it. And this week, that someone is you. You sling your ragged cloak over your shoulders, still damp from yesterday's mist, and begin the walk. The pigs live just beyond the village in a muck-filled pen bordered by splintered wooden fencing that leans like it's just waiting for an excuse to fall. The smell hits before you arrive, hot, sharp, and sour. A stew of urine, feces, rotting food, and pig breath. You fight the urge to gag. You'll grow used to it. You always do. There's an older boy already there, shoveling waste into a wheelbarrow. He nods, then gestures to the feed buckets. It's not slop, it's worse. Yesterday's moldy bread wilted leaves the occasional fish head. Everything smells like decay. You scoop the buckets with both hands and haul them toward the pigs, who squeal and shove at the fence with enough force to snap the boards. Their hooves churn the mud into a thick, soupy mess. You hold your breath and climb into the pen, each step sinking ankle-deep in something you'd rather not think about. Your feet slip, and your injured one strikes a buried rock. You cry out more from shock than pain and nearly drop the bucket. The pigs close in grunting jostling. One nearly knocks you over. You stagger back, splash curse under your breath. The older boy laughs not cruelly, just tiredly. He's seen it all before. You finish feeding them and then help shovel out the worst of the waste, tossing it into the ditch that runs alongside the pen. It steams in the cool morning air. The smell clings to your tunic, your skin, your hair. You'll carry it with you all day. You pause once the job is done, gripping the fence to rest your arms. Your foot is throbbing again, and you feel something hot in the wound, heat that doesn't feel right. You don't mention it. No one would do anything if you did. As you limp away, you glance at the sky. It's light now, thin clouds racing across a pale blue sheet. Church bells ring again, midday prayers. But you're not headed to chapel. Chapel is for Sunday. And even then, peasants sit at the back, listening quietly, pretending not to fall asleep. Instead, you've been told to help the tanner's apprentice. It's one of the worst jobs in the village, but also one of the most necessary. The tanner deals in hides, and hides mean shoes, though never for you. The tannery sits near the edge of the river, where the wind can carry the stink away from the village. It never does. As you approach, your eyes already begin to sting. The air is heavy with the acrid stench of urine, lime, and rotting flesh. Dozens of animal skins hang from poles, flies dancing around them like smoke. The apprentice, a boy barely older than you, but already bent like a man twice his age, hands you a scraping knife. He points to a pile of goat skins that need cleaning. You kneel beside them, the ground cold and slick with old fluids. You grip the blade and begin scraping fur, fat, sinew. All must go before the hides can be soaked. Your arms ache. The blade slips once and you nick your thumb. You suck the blood and keep going. The tanner doesn't tolerate slackers. You've heard stories. He once beat a boy for cutting a hide the wrong way. The boy left the village soon after. No one knows where he went. Time crawls like molasses. You scrape and scrape and scrape. The stench becomes your entire world. Your stomach churns. There's no bread for lunch, not today. Just a gulp of thin ale to stave off the hunger. It does nothing. Finally, the apprentice nods, and you stagger to your feet, dizzy. Your foot pulses with each step. It's worse now, angrier, hotter. You limp back toward the village, eyes half closed against the wind. As you pass the chapel, you see the parish priest leaving through a side door. He walks slowly, weighed down by the heavy folds of his vestments. He doesn't look at you. You remember him speaking once about sin, about toil being punishment. You wonder if your bare feet are a penance or just a sign of your place in the world. Back at home, your mother tries to clean the wound with boiled wine. It burns like fire. You bite down on a strip of wood and fight back tears. She mutters a prayer under her breath, half to God, half to herself. She's seen this before, too. She knows how quickly feet turn to graves. The house is colder than usual tonight. The wind has picked up and the thatch groans with every gust. Your brother shivers against you. You press your foot against the wall, trying to find some position where it doesn't throb, doesn't scream. You think of shoes again. Not soft ones. Just anything. Even a rough piece of hide, a strap of bark, something to wrap around your heel. You imagine stealing scraps from the tanner's pile, fashioning your own. But you'd be caught. You'd be punished. Still, the idea lingers. You fall asleep, plotting how to find something, anything, that can keep the earth from chewing you alive. But the pain keeps you from sleep for a long time. And when you finally drift off, your dreams are feverish. You're walking down a road made of glass, and your feet are bleeding. The trees around you whisper warnings. A blackbird perches on your shoulder and tells you to turn back. But you can't. There's nowhere else to go. Morning is coming, and you'll wake up still shoeless, still sore, still trapped in this unending march through mud and misery. And yet you will rise, because that's what peasants do. The next morning, your foot is swollen. You notice it even before your eyes open, an angry, pulsing heat radiating from the sole and climbing up your ankle. You try to move it and wince. It's stiff. The skin looks shiny and red, like it's been stretched too tight. You press your fingers gently to the wound and feel the unmistakable warmth of infection. You don't tell anyone. You sit up slowly, careful not to let your family notice how you favor one side. If they knew, your mother would insist you rest. But rest means falling behind, missing your tasks. And missing your tasks means punishment, or worse, being seen as a burden. And in this world, burdens don't survive long. So you stand, slowly, gritting your teeth. And when your foot hits the floor, the pain shoots through you like lightning, but you swallow the cry. You tie your tunic tight, tuck your blistering foot beneath the hem, and limp out the door. Your chore today is at the grange. The village granary sits near the far edge of the manor's land, built of rough stone and packed with sacks of barley and oats. Rats love it, and so do thieves. Your job is simple stand watch during the distribution and report anything suspicious. It sounds easy, but it isn't, because it's cold and you have to stand still. And stillness when you're in pain is its own kind of agony. The reeve nods to you as you arrive. He's wrapped in a thick cloak, his boots laced tight. You glance at them without meaning to. They look heavy, reliable. You picture your own bare toes blue with cold, filthy, bruised. You quickly look away before he notices. Peasants arrive in trickles, women carrying baskets, men with handcarts, a boy no older than 6 dragging a sack twice his size. The grain is weighed and recorded the same as every season. You shift your weight from one foot to the other, trying to take pressure off the blister. But there's no relief. Every few minutes you feel a fresh burst of heat inside the wound, like your body is trying to warn you this isn't just a scrape anymore. You distract yourself by watching the people. Their faces are drawn some hollow-cheeked from a poor harvest. Everyone looks older than they are. You know this because you see your own face reflected in puddles and metal pots, your sunken eyes, your cracked lips, your hollow neck. You're barely into adolescence, but the mirror would guess 20, maybe more. As midday approaches, the crowd thins. You're allowed to sit briefly. You limp to a low wall and settle onto it, exhaling slowly. The pain is sharper now. You pull your foot close to inspect it again, carefully undoing the linen wrap your mother tied last night. The swelling has crept up your ankle. The blister is gone, burst sometime in the night. What's left is raw, wet, and oozing. You cover it quickly, heart hammering. This is bad. Worse than you've ever seen. You glance around. No one's looking. You reach into your cloak pocket and pull out a scrap of hide, just a strip stiff and thin stolen from the tanner's refuse pile. You stare at it. Maybe you could wrap it. Bind your foot. Even a poor shoe is better than none. But if someone sees it and it's traced back to the tanner, the punishment would be harsh. Not just for you, maybe for your family. You tuck it back in your cloak. Not today. The steward's son arrives riding a thin mare that's clearly too good for village roads. He doesn't see you at first, but when he does, he sneers. You've done nothing to him, but your presence offends him. Your filth, your limping, your nothingness. Watch yourself, swine boy, he spits, nudging his horse toward the manor. You don't answer. There's no point. By late afternoon, the grange closes. You limp home in silence, teeth clenched with every step. When you reach your cottage, your mother eyes your gate. You wave her off, just tired, you mumble. She looks unconvinced, but she doesn't press. She's too exhausted. That night, your father returns from the woods with a bundle of sticks and a scowl. He hasn't spoken much in days. Something is wrong, you can tell. He drops the wood near the fire and mutters about taxes. The steward has increased the grain tithe again. There's talk that a poor harvest means you'll be paying more even as you get less. You eat stew again. Barley water, a few tired leaks. It tastes of ash and bitterness. Your little brother has a coughing fit halfway through dinner. Your mother pats his back, worried. She says it's just a cold, but you've heard stories. Coughs that linger. Coughs that end in graves. You stare at the fire and say nothing. When it's time to sleep, you wait until everyone's dozed off. Then you pull out the strip of leather again. You untie your foot wrap and gently press the hide against your wound. It burns. You flinch, but you keep going. You wrap it tight using a piece of twine to hold it in place. It's crude, ugly, but it covers the wound. It keeps the earth away. For now. Lying back in the straw, you feel a flicker of something strange. Not quite hope, but maybe its cousin. You dream again. This time you're standing in a market, a bustling place filled with colors you've never seen. The cobblestones are warm underfoot, and you're wearing shoes. Real ones. Leather soft and strong. They fit like magic. You walk without pain. You run. You laugh. People call your name and you answer without fear. Then the sky darkens and you look down. The shoes are gone. Your foot is bare. Bleeding. The crowd vanishes. You're alone again. In the mud. You wake with a start. The fire's gone out. Your foot throbs. But for a few minutes you'd felt it. You'd felt free. The sun hasn't yet risen, but already the cottage stirs. You hear your father's cough, deep and rattling, followed by the scrape of the door as he steps into the misty morning. Your little brother tosses beside you, feverish in his sleep. The fire is nothing but cold ashes. Your stomach growls, but you know there's no bread left. You sit up carefully, bracing yourself. The moment your wrapped foot touches the floor, pain jolts through your body. The crude leather binding helped, but barely. The heat has spread further, your ankle thicker now, redder. But still you stand. That's the rule. As long as you can move, you do. Until you can't. Today you're needed at the wattle pens. One of the village cows has gone missing, and the steward has called a search. Losing a cow isn't just bad luck, it's a punishable offense. Every animal on the manor is property of the Lord, and if it's discovered that your village was negligent, fines will fall like rain. Worse, someone might be blamed publicly, and someone blamed publicly might be made an example. You force down a cup of thin ale and a sliver of dried turnip, then limp into the fog leather strip hidden beneath your tunic. The air is thick, and your breath comes in little white clouds. Dew soaks the earth, chilling your bare calves and soaking the hem of your tunic. You look down, your injured foot is dark and shiny now, the skin puffed up over the twine like overripe fruit. You tighten your jaw and keep moving. The other villagers gather near the paddock. The steward's assistant, a lanky man with a scarred face and polished boots, barks orders. Search every fence, every ditch, every hollow. If you find the animal, report at once. If not, we'll bring the dogs. You join a small group, 3 older boys and 1 bent-over man with a crooked back, and are assigned the east path. They barely acknowledge you. You're the smallest, the youngest, the one who limps. To them, you're a liability. But the task is the task. The path leads into marshy fields where your foot sinks with every step. Water seeps into your wrappings, soaking the leather and the cloth beneath. You can feel it, the infection rising like smoke, every step a searing ache that radiates up your leg. But you don't stop. You can't. If you're caught resting, you'll be assumed guilty, lazy, maybe even the reason the cow is missing. You scan the brush, eyes darting. Mud clings to your knees. Reeds slap against your skin. The others fan out, calling softly, clicking their tongues, hoping the cow is close. But there's no sound, no movement. Hours pass. Your group reconvenes, empty-handed and muddy. One of the older boys shrugs. Could have wandered into the forest. If so, it's done for. The man with the crooked back mutters about wolves. You all begin the walk back. You fall behind quickly. Each step feels like your foot is being torn apart from the inside. You're sweating despite the chill. Dizziness clouds your vision. You pause by a tree, pretending to tie your tunic, and gasp quietly for breath. When you lift your foot to inspect it, the sight makes you dizzy. The red has spread halfway up your calf. There's a foul smell now, sharp and rotten. You retch into the grass. You can't go on like this. But you do. You limp into the village just as the bell tolls for noon. The steward's assistant glares but says nothing. Another group found the cow. It had fallen into a ditch, legs broken. It will be slaughtered. The loss will still be fined, but no one will be whipped. Not today. You collapse beside the well, pretending to rest like the others. But your mind is racing. You know what this is. You've heard the stories about peasants who got foot rot, who couldn't work, who were tossed out or left behind. One boy a few years ago had a boil on his leg. His family hid it until he couldn't walk. Then the priest came. He said it was a curse, a punishment. The boy was taken away. You never saw him again. You can't let that be you. You don't go home. Not yet. Instead, you go to the edge of the village, to the blacksmith's shed. It's empty right now. The blacksmith is off delivering nails to the manor. You slip behind the forge where broken tools and scraps of leather are dumped in a pile. You search quickly, hands shaking. You find an old horseshoe, a strap of leather still nailed to it. Useless as is, but maybe, just maybe, you can bend it. Fashion it into something like a soul. You hear footsteps and freeze. The blacksmith's daughter, a girl near your age, appears around the corner. She sees you. You expect her to yell, but she doesn't. She looks at your foot, your face, then quietly gestures to a different pile behind the fence. "There's better scraps over there," she says softly. You stare at her, shocked. "Just don't take too much," she adds. "He'll notice." You nod, and your throat tightens. You want to say thank you, but you don't trust your voice. She leaves, and you work quickly, finding a piece of worn hide, soft, but thick enough to serve as padding. It's curved like an old heel. You tear the old strip off your foot and wince. The smell hits you like a blow. You gag, But keep working, pressing the hide against the wound, wrapping it tightly with fresh cloth and twine, then slipping the horseshoe into the fold for support. You test your weight. It's not good, but it's better. You hobble back home under gray skies, half expecting someone to call after you to accuse you of theft, of trespassing. But no one does. When you reach your cottage, your mother glances at you, then at your foot. Her eyes narrow, but she doesn't ask. That night you eat in silence. Turnip stew again. Your brother is too sick to join. He lies curled in the straw, coughing weakly. After dinner you sit beside him, wiping sweat from his brow. He clutches your hand. "Cold," he whispers. You press his feet against yours. Yours are burning. His are ice. You lie beside him and listen to the wind outside and the sound of your own heart in your ears. It's too fast. You know what that means. Tomorrow you'll try to find herbs or beg the priest for help. But tonight you listen to the wind, and for the first time your new shoe, if it can be called that, holds. It isn't comfort, but it's something like protection. You wake before the others, but not by choice. Pain has become your new alarm, blooming like fire from your ankle and climbing up your leg with each beat of your heart. You lie still in the straw, watching your brother's chest rise and fall in shallow breaths. He's still alive. That's something. The makeshift shoe held through the night. You're almost afraid to remove it, knowing what might lie beneath. But you have to check. Carefully you unwrap the twine, peel away the cloth, and lift the leather. The wound beneath has turned a sickly gray around the edges. The center is cracked open, leaking pus and blood. It stinks. You wrap it again tighter this time and whisper a quick prayer, not to any saint in particular, just to someone. Anyone. Then you rise, swallow the dizziness, and step into the morning frost. The day's work isn't assigned to you by the reeve or the steward, it's personal. Your brother's cough kept you up half the night, and you've decided you'll find something to help him. Herbs or roots or anything with a name whispered by the old women who used to talk of healing before the priest told them to stop. You'll go into the woods. The thought chills you, not just because of the cold, but because of what the woods mean. No one ventures there without fear. Bandits, wolves, spirits. The stories cling to the village like fog. But you've seen the edge of the forest your whole life, and today fear feels small compared to what's growing in your brother's lungs. You sneak behind the church where the path bends toward the trees. No one sees you leave. The forest welcomes you with silence, thick and old and heavy. The smell of damp earth rises, and the air grows cooler beneath the twisted canopy. You walk slowly, careful with every step. Even the smallest root or stone could reopen your wound. Your foot pulses, but you press on, leaning against tree trunks when the pain grows too sharp. The ground is soft here, leaf-littered, quiet. For a moment, it feels almost gentle. You search the forest floor for anything familiar. Your grandmother once told you about a bitter plant called yarrow. Good for wounds, good for fever. You remember its white flowers, like tiny stars, clustered in umbrellas. You pray you'll find it. After nearly an hour of limping through brush and vines, you do. A patch of it clinging to a rise near the bend of a stream. You fall to your knees beside it, heart pounding with something like triumph. You gather as much as you can, breaking stalks, gently whispering an apology to the earth. Then you turn to go, but something stops you. A figure. Not close, not clear. Just a shadow between the trees. Tall, still watching. You freeze. You've heard of forest spirits, of outlaws, of witches. The figure steps back, melting into the trees. You don't wait to see more. You limp faster than you ever have, clutching the herbs to your chest, not daring to look behind you. The forest groans as the wind rushes through the limbs above, and every sound feels like a warning. You burst from the trees just as the bell in the village square rings for mid-morning. You fall to your knees in the grass, breath coming hard and fast. No one notices you. Life continues, oxen plod through the mud, women hang laundry, children chase each other with sticks. But you feel like you've crossed some boundary that can't be uncrossed. Back at the cottage, you hand the herbs to your mother. She stares at them for a long time, then at you, where she whispers. The woods, you answer. She doesn't scold you. She just nods, takes the yarrow, and sets a pot of water to boil. Your brother is still shivering, but he swallows the bitter brew. His eyes flutter. Whether it's working or not, you can't say. But it feels like action, and that's something. You rest your foot elevated on a bundle of cloth. It's throbbing, but you've done enough for one day. As you sit there watching the pot bubble, the door opens. Your father enters, followed by the priest. You stiffen. The priest's eyes sweep the cottage. He says nothing at first. Then, in his low, dry voice, the steward says, "Your boy wasn't at his duty this morning." You start to speak, but your father raises a hand. He went to gather herbs for his brother. The priest frowns. Herbs from whom you swallow, from the forest. A silence falls. The priest's expression hardens. "There are rules, child," he says. "The forest holds dangers, not just beasts, but temptation. Those who seek power outside the church often find ruin. You bow your head. I only wanted to help." He sighs. God sees intent, but so do men. Be cautious. We cannot afford suspicion. He leaves without blessing your home. The door closes and the room feels colder. Your mother resumes stirring the pot. She doesn't speak. Your father sits beside the hearth, his face unreadable. That night, as you lie beside your brother, you wonder if you've invited something terrible. If the shadow in the woods was real. If the priest will come again. If your brother will live. Your foot pulses with every beat of your heart. But your brother is breathing easier now. And in the darkness, that's enough. You drift into sleep, dreaming not of shoes, but of moss. Soft green moss that covers your feet and soothes them. That hides the pain and quiets the world. And just before you wake, you feel that same moss wrap around your wounded foot, like a slipper made of the earth itself. Morning creeps in slowly, pale and sullen. A light rain has fallen in the night, and the thatch above you leaks in two places. One drip lands squarely on your neck. You flinch awake, blinking into the haze. Your foot throbs dull and deep like a drumbeat below the floor of your thoughts. But your first glance is not toward yourself. It's to your brother. He's still there, still breathing. You touch his forehead. It's damp, but not burning. His cheeks have color faint, but real. His chest rises with a little more strength than yesterday. Your heart swells, aching with something like gratitude, though you don't know the word for it. All you know is that he's not worse, and that might mean he's better. Your mother catches your eye and nods once. The kind of nod that says, "You did what I couldn't." Then she hands you a bowl of broth. It's mostly hot water flavored faintly by barley and wild onion, but it's warm. You sip it in silence, soaking the heat through your chest. Today is market day. Market day doesn't mean silver. It doesn't mean joy. It means mud and haggling and watching others eat things you'll never taste. But it's a change from routine, a different kind of suffering. And more importantly, it's a chance to barter maybe for better herbs or wool, or even new cloth for your foot. You ready yourself as best you can. Your makeshift shoe, stiff from yesterday's rain, resists your foot like armor. You wrap it tighter, ignoring the spike of pain, and lean hard on a crooked stick your father shaped for you years ago when you broke your toe. Back then you healed. Now you're not so sure. Still, you press forward. The village market isn't a grand affair. No colorful tents, no musicians, no roasted meats sizzling on spits. Just wooden tables, a few crates, some weathered baskets filled with tired goods, onions, turnips, eggs too small for a proper sale. Peasants from nearby villages gather to trade what little they have. You recognize most faces. Some are kind, some aren't. You limp past the tanner's stall, heart thudding. The scraps you took still weigh heavy in your thoughts. But the blacksmith's daughter is there again. She catches your eye, barely nods. You don't know what it means. Maybe I didn't tell. Maybe be careful. Maybe nothing at all. But the fact that she looks at you without hate is something. You stop at the herbalist's stall, a crooked old man with few teeth and fewer manners. He sells what passes for remedies in this place: dried roots, wilted flowers, jars of cloudy liquid with labels too smudged to read. You show him a few of the yarrow stems you collected. Forest kind, he grunts. Good. You want more? You nod. My brother's ill, and I need something for a wound. He eyes you. Then your foot. Then the scrap of leather peeking out from beneath your tunic. He snorts. Too late for salves, boy. That foot's not angry, it's dying. You blink. What do you mean? I mean it's going to rot. Maybe already is. Unless you cut it, burn it, or bury it with the rest of you. You stagger back a step, cold sweeping through your chest. He shrugs and tosses you a small bundle. Boil that for your brother. Will help the lungs. As for your foot, pray. Or find someone with real medicine. And coin. You don't have coin. You clutch the herbs and back away, breath shallow. Around you the market blurs, colors and faces swirling like mud in water. Your heart races. The wound pulses, as if it heard what the man said and wants to prove him right. You find a quiet spot near the chapel wall and sit down shaking. What if he's right? You imagine your foot blackening, the skin splitting, your legs swollen like those pigs you once saw in midsummer rot. You imagine the reeve coming for you, the priest calling it judgment, your father turning away in shame. You imagine being cast out, and your brother getting better only to wake up and find you gone. You bury your face in your arms. But then something shifts, a smell familiar. Wood smoke, rosemary, tallow. You look up. The blacksmith's daughter stands over you holding a bundle wrapped in rough linen. For your foot, she says, offering it out. You hesitate. I saw the old man talk to you, she adds. He tells everyone they're dying. You take the bundle slowly. Inside clean cloth, a folded strip of boiled leather, and a little jar of something thick and green. From the midwife, she explains. She used to treat soldiers before her son was taken by the plague. You meet her eyes. Why are you helping me? She shrugs. Because no one helped my brother, and because I hate the way you limp. You almost laugh. It catches in your throat like a sob. You nod. Thank you. Use it tonight, she says, before it's too late. Then she walks off without another word. You stare at the bundle in your lap. Your hands tremble. That evening back in the cottage, your brother sips the boiled herbs while your mother watches. He breathes easier. His eyes stay open longer. You sit in the corner cleaning your foot with boiled water as hot as you can stand. You peel away the old wrappings, revealing a wound that has grown slick and dark, but not yet black. There's still a chance. You apply the green paste. It burns. You bite your lip, tears springing to your eyes. But you keep going. You wrap it in the clean cloth, then the leather, then the linen again. You lie back, sweating, heart-racing pain crackling up your leg like lightning. But when you close your eyes, it's not fear that fills you. It's something smaller, quieter, the shape of a seed, something like hope. The days begin to slide into each other. Your brother improves slowly but surely. The cough isn't gone, but it's lighter, less ragged. He eats now tiny spoonfuls of stew and bits of stale bread. He even sits up for a while, leaning against your mother, blinking into the firelight, like someone waking from a long, strange dream. Your foot, though, your foot is still in trouble. Every evening you unwrap it, clean it with boiled water, and apply the green salve. The pain hasn't lessened, but the swelling no longer spreads. The red skin has pulled back just slightly from your shin, no longer climbing higher with each morning. And there's no more smell. That more than anything gives you hope. You don't mention the blacksmith's daughter's help to anyone. It's a secret, fragile and flickering like a candle in a breeze. You guard it carefully. But you think of her often now. Her quiet strength. Her strange kindness. No one's ever looked at you like that before. As if you were worth saving. You still can't return to full labor, but you can sit and carry and stitch. So your mother puts you to work repairing a thatch basket, your fingers raw from pulling the willow strips tight. It's not honorable labor, not in the eyes of the steward, but it's something. And something is better than nothing. The Reeve stops by the cottage one morning, sniffing around like a dog. He eyes your bandaged foot, then the idle tools by the door. Still lame, he grunts. You nod, heart-hammering. He sneers. Be well soon. You're not the Lord's pet. If you can't work, you can't eat. He doesn't need to say what comes next. You know, if your foot fails, you become a drain on your family. And drains get removed. That night, you stare into the fire long after everyone else has fallen asleep. Your brother's breathing is calm. Your father snores. Your mother lies still as stone. But your thoughts circle like wolves in the dark. You think of the pain, the swelling the Reeve's eyes. You think of the blacksmith's daughter. And you make a choice. You'll walk again. Truly walk. Not limp, not drag, not hide in shadows, even if it kills you. The next morning you rise early, tightening the wraps around your foot with shaking hands. You shove a flat piece of bark inside the wrap, firming the sole, trying to give it support. Then you pull on the makeshift shoe and press your weight down. It feels like stepping on a burning coal, but you stay standing. One step, then another. You grunt softly. You won't scream. Outside, the frost has returned. It crunches underfoot, and your shoe slides slightly as you walk. But you don't fall. You head to the stream, not because you were told, but because it needs doing. The family's water is low, and the bucket's been empty since yesterday. It's your job again. As you reach the bank, you pause to breathe, hands on knees. The wind cuts through your tunic, and the cold reaches up through your foot, twisting into the wound like a claw. But you stand. And that's what matters. You fill the bucket slowly. Every motion feels deliberate, hard-won. You're sweating despite the cold. The handle bites into your raw palms as you lift it. On the way back, you pass the blacksmith's shed. You risk a glance. She's there, at the forge, pounding metal with rhythm and strength. Sparks fly around her like stars. She doesn't see you at first, but then she turns. You stop. She wipes her brow, notices your bucket, your limp. Her eyes narrow, not with cruelty, but with calculation. "You walked," she says. You nod, breathless. "And you didn't die." "Not yet." A faint smile. Then she turns back to the anvil hammer falling again. You walk on, heart full of something warm and wild. Back at the cottage, your mother takes the water and pours it into the pot. She eyes you, but says nothing. She's watching you, though. Watching the way you lean less on the wall. Watching the way you carry yourself. Later that day, you try to help in the yard. The fence needs mending. One of the pigs broke through and had to be chased back. You kneel in the mud and lift the broken post using your good leg for balance. Your arms strain, but you manage to reset it. The wound pulses, but it doesn't bleed. That feels like victory. Evening brings stew again, thinner than usual, barely more than flavored water, with bits of old onion. Your brother eats it, which is all that matters. After dinner, you sit alone on the doorstep, watching the stars emerge. The village is quiet now, save for a distant dog barking at the moon. Smoke curls from chimneys. Laughter comes faintly from the alewife's hut. Life moves on. You look up at the night sky and think about how far it stretches. How the stars don't care about peasants or sores or stewards' threats. And still, they shine. You wonder if anyone has ever looked up at them from a castle wearing shoes of velvet and fur and thought about the dirt below, about the lives lived without privilege. You wonder if they even know you exist. Probably not. But you're here, and you're walking again. You press your foot against the hard earth, still sore, still swollen, but healing. And for the first time in what feels like years, you smile. Not wide, not foolish. Just enough to feel the warmth behind your teeth. Tomorrow will hurt, but it will come, and you will meet it standing. The following morning arrives not with pain, but with numbness. You wake and stretch your legs slowly, testing the foot before rising. It feels strange, swollen still, but not blazing hot. The burn has dulled as if the fire inside has finally lost its fuel. You breathe in slowly, savoring the silence of the moment. Your brother is awake too, his eyes open, his skin no longer pale like bleached cloth. He offers a weak smile when he sees you watching him, then coughs into a scrap of cloth. But it's not the deep, tearing cough that echoed in your chest like a funeral bell. This one is shallow, ordinary. Human. "He's better," your mother whispers. Her voice cracks, worn thin by days of fear. You nod. No one speaks of miracles in your house. You're too poor for those. But when you reach down and feel that your brother's forehead is cool, you wonder if perhaps you've lived one. By mid-morning, you're on your feet again, walking slowly but steadily through the muddy village lanes. The air smells like ash and boiled grain tinged with that ever-present scent of manure that defines life here. But you hardly notice it now. The reeve spots you from a distance. He watches, arms crossed, as you carry a bundle of thatch toward the chapel for repair work. Your foot throbs, but it holds. He says nothing, but you feel the weight of his gaze like a blade on your back. You want him to see, to know that you didn't rot, that you didn't give in. As you approach the chapel, The old stone walls rise before you damp and streaked with moss. The priest is sweeping the stone steps. He glances up as you limp by and raises an eyebrow. "You're alive," he mutters. You meet his eyes. For now. He frowns. "Be careful. Pride is a sin." You say nothing, but inside your pride burns quietly like the coals in your hearth, steady and necessary. You set to work patching the thatch near the apse. The roof has been leaking since last winter, and the chapel smells like mildew. You climb the wooden ladder slowly, your foot protesting with every step. Each movement must be deliberate, cautious. One slip and you fall. No one will save you. The thatch is rough, the straw brittle. You knot it together with twine, tucking each bundle tight. The wind howls across the open roof, whipping your hair across your face. Below, the priest disappears back into the chapel. As you work, you pause only once when the blacksmith's daughter passes by on the path below. She doesn't look up, but you see her hair, her gait, the firm way she walks with a basket balanced on her hip. You wonder if she's thinking of you. Later that afternoon, you descend slowly and return to the cottage to rest. Your leg is trembling now, muscles exhausted from holding you upright. You collapse beside the hearth and let yourself breathe. That evening, your father returns home with something in his arms, a wrapped bundle of cured pigskin. You stare at it. He holds it out to you without a word. You unwrap it slowly, hands shaking. Shoes, 2 pieces of crude leather stitched roughly with twine shaped like slippers. No soles, no fastenings, but shoes. Real ones. Yours. You look up at him, stunned. "From the tanner's scraps," he says gruffly. "Traded for a morning's wood chopping." You can barely speak. You hold the shoes in your lap like relics. The leather is stiff but warm. You press your nose to it. It smells like smoke and salt and hide. Your mother watches from the table. You'll still need to bind your foot, but these will keep out the worst of it. You nod, voice caught in your throat. That night by firelight, you slip the shoes onto your feet. Your foot is still sore, but when you stand, you feel the difference immediately. The shock of earth is dulled. The cold is blunted. The wound doesn't scream. It sighs. You walk a few steps. Your brother claps softly. You smile. You're wearing shoes. They're ugly, ill-shaped, uneven, but they're yours. That night, lying in the straw with your feet tucked beneath the blanket, you don't feel the usual sting of frost on your toes. You sleep deeper, slower, dreamless. The next day, you return to full labor. The fields are heavy with mud, and the oxen refuse to walk straight, and the steward's men are demanding. But you keep pace. You lift. You carry. You kneel and stand and kneel again, and the pain is tolerable, manageable, survivable. You overhear one of the Reeves' men say, "Didn't think the lame one would come back." And someone else mutters, "Tougher than he looks." You don't speak. You just work. At the end of the day, your foot is sore but whole. You pass the blacksmith's daughter again on your way home. This time she does look up. At your feet. At your shoes. And then at your face. She nods. You nod back. Nothing more is said. Back in the cottage, your brother is eating again. Your father's sharpening his axe. Your mother is sewing a tear in the thatch curtain. And you, the boy who nearly lost his foot, sit by the fire, with shoes on your feet. Tomorrow will hurt. But for now, you've won something. A piece of dignity, a thread of freedom, a layer of leather between you and the world. And for once, that feels like enough. The shoes are still stiff on the second day. Your foot complains each time you bend it, and the leather rubs in places the wrap doesn't quite cover. But you're walking. You're working. You're no longer just the limping peasant boy. At the stream that morning, a few others glance at your feet. One of the older boys, Edric the Thatcher's son, nods toward the shoes and grins. Didn't think you'd last the week. You say nothing. Just kneel, fill your bucket, and let the cold water calm the ache inside your foot. The wound is healing slowly. The salve is almost gone, but the swelling is down, and it no longer weeps when you walk. When you return, the reeve stops you by the chapel wall. You can lift again? You nod. Good. Then you'll join the levee tomorrow. You freeze. The levee. The word feels like ice down your spine. Every year the Lord sends a dozen peasants to the road crews to repair the long paths leading to the abbey and the baron's holdings. It's hard labor clearing stone, hauling timber, filling ditches. It's miles from home, days away. No comfort, no family, and no option to say no. You swallow. Yes, sir. He walks off his boots, leaving clean tracks in the mud. You stare after him, dread slowly blooming in your chest. You've just barely begun to heal, just started walking with strength again. And now that evening, your family listens in silence as you explain. No one is surprised. It was your turn eventually, your mother murmurs. They've taken younger boys. Your father is sharpening a knife slowly. We all go sometime. You eat your stew in silence. Your brother stares at you, eyes wide, frightened. You want to promise him you'll be back soon, that it's no worse than the fields. But you don't lie to him, because you've heard stories. Men sent to the road who came back crippled, or didn't come back at all. The next morning you leave before sunrise. You wear your shoes, your patched cloak, and carry a small satchel with dried barley, a crust of bread, and the last of the salve. Your foot is sore, but you walk without stumbling. You meet the others at the south gate, 11 men and boys, all peasants, all quiet. No one makes jokes. No one brings anything extra. There's no space for sentiment. The steward's man counts you off, then leads the way down the old stone path that curves through the forest, out of the village and toward the high road. You walk in silence for hours, the rhythm of your feet echoing through the mist. Birds sing overhead, but none of you notice. By midday, you reach the first work site. It's worse than you imagined. The road is a mess, part washed out, part crumbling. Trees have fallen across it. There are carts stuck in mud. The baron wants it clear by week's end. You're handed tools, a shovel, a rusted axe, no greetings, no instruction, just work. You start by chopping roots from the path. Then you dig. Then you drag stones the size of pigs from the ditches and stack them along the roadbed. Your shoes fill with mud and water. Your foot, though protected, throbs beneath the layers. But you keep going. You don't speak. You don't ask for rest. Because if you fall behind, the steward's men will notice. And you're already the smallest. That night, you sleep beneath a cart wrapped in your cloak. Rain falls in soft sheets. You use your satchel as a pillow. Your foot pulses. You apply the last of the salve, knowing there's no more. Then you close your eyes and hope the morning doesn't bring fever. But it doesn't. You wake sore but still strong. Day after day you work, hauling stones, cutting brambles, shoveling earth. The others start to notice you. A man named Tom gives you his ale ration one evening. Another boy, Ren, offers you a turn at the dry spot under the wagon. No one says you're doing well. But in this world, kindness speaks without words. One evening, as you sit around a small fire, someone says, Didn't you have a bad foot? You nod. Ren leans forward. Still got it. You lift it slightly, showing the crude shoe. Barely. They all laugh softly. Could have fooled me, Tom says. You carry more than most. The fire crackles. You smile. By the end of the week, the road is clear. The steward's man nods, once says, You'll walk home in the morning, and disappears. You return to the village with aching arms, blistered hands, and swollen knees. But you walk under your own strength, and your foot holds. When you reach the edge of the village, your brother runs to meet you barefoot, his cough nearly gone. He hugs you fiercely. You nearly fall. Your mother weeps quietly. Your father nods and grips your shoulder. That night, you sit by the fire in your cottage. Your shoes are lined up beside the hearth, steaming softly. They're cracked now. The leather's worn thin in places. The stitches are frayed. But they've carried you through labor, through distance, through doubt. You stretch your leg and feel the scar where the wound once festered. It will never fully fade. But neither will what you've done. You didn't just survive. You endured. And in this world, that's everything. The morning after your return feels different. Not because the sky is clearer, it isn't. The fog still hangs over the fields like an old wool blanket. Not because the fire burned brighter, there's barely enough wood for even a flicker. No, it's different because you've come back, on your own feet. Wearing shoes. Changed. You sit outside the cottage with your brother watching as the village stirs to life. Men shoulder tools. Women carry baskets. Children chase chickens in the lane. Life picks up its routine indifferent to your small triumph. But your brother sees it. He leans against your shoulder and whispers, I thought you wouldn't come back. You ruffle his hair gently. I did. He nods, then coughs once lightly. The rasp is gone. You both smile. Today you aren't given a job by the Reeve. It's not a reward. They've simply forgotten to assign you. Or perhaps they think the road crew has done its share of punishment. You don't argue. You take it as a blessing. You decide to help your mother in the garden behind the cottage. It's barely more than a patch of overworked dirt scattered with limp greens and the thin arms of sprouting leeks. But she works it every day, coaxing life from earth the way some coax warmth from stone. You till the soil with a stick, careful not to press your foot too hard. It still aches, but it no longer feels like it's failing. It's a part of you again, not an enemy. As you work, you hear voices approaching. Two women pass by the fence, chatting quietly. One of them glances your way. Is that the boy who limped, the one who went to the roads, that one? They nod, then continue. You're not sure what to make of it. But you feel their words settle on you like a new cloak, not quite warm but heavier than before. Later, the blacksmith's daughter appears again. She stands just beyond the fence, holding something in her hand, a small bundle wrapped in linen. You straighten, wiping your hands on your tunic. She tosses it over. For your shoes, she says. Oil and beeswax. Keeps the leather from cracking. You catch it clumsily, surprised. Thank you, you say. She shrugs. They did good by you. Might as well take care of them. You nod. She turns to leave, but pauses. You walked the roads. I did. Not many do and come back with both feet. You manage a small grin. Barely. She smiles truly this time, then walks away, her boots crunching on the path. You sit back down and unwrap the bundle. Inside is a small clay jar. You dip your fingers in and rub the waxy balm into the cracked leather of your shoes. The scent is sharp herbs and smoke and it brings back the memory of her forge of sparks flying, of her gaze meeting yours. That evening, you decide to take a walk alone, not far, just beyond the fields to the edge of the woods. You limp lightly, slower than before, but with purpose. The shoes protect your steps. Each one is a beat of defiance against the silence of your old suffering. You pass the chapel, the fields, the road you once carved with your hands. And finally, you reach the trees, the same ones that swallowed you weeks ago when you sought herbs for your brother. The forest hasn't changed. It still whispers, still looms. But you're not the same boy. You don't go in. Not this time. You just sit beneath the largest tree and listen to the breeze in its branches. You take off one shoe, unwrap the foot, and look at the scar. The flesh is pink now, no longer angry. It pulls slightly when you move, but it's sealed, closed, whole. You look up at the sky beyond the branches. The stars are just starting to show faint pinpricks of light in the deepening blue. You think about how close you came to losing everything: your foot, your role in the village, your family's respect, your very place in this world. All from one simple fact: you didn't have shoes, one barrier between your skin and the world. That was all it would have taken to avoid the wound. And yet the journey that followed, somehow it gave you something more. Not just the shoes you wear now, but a kind of presence, a way of being in the world. People look at you differently, not with pity, but with quiet recognition. You put the shoe back on, fasten the wrap, and rise. Night is falling. Time to go home. The village glows faintly with firelight, thin wisps of smoke curling from every chimney. You limp back down the path with a full heart, your steps echoing quietly on the dirt. Your brother is waiting at the door, already half asleep. Your mother hands you a bowl of hot barley, thicker than usual. No one says much. But when you take your place in the straw, you don't lie curled up in the corner like you used to. You stretch your legs out, your feet, both of them, pressed firmly to the earth, wrapped in leather, covered, safe. The days pass slowly, after that, slowly, but not aimlessly. Something about you has changed in the eyes of others, not dramatically. They don't stop to praise you. No songs are sung. But when your name comes up, people nod. They speak with a kind of reserve reserved for those who have suffered and survived. The tanner who once wouldn't glance your way now gives you an extra scrap of hide when he notices your shoes thinning. "Patch those before winter," he says flatly, pretending it's nothing. The steward's assistant even nods politely as you pass him one morning on the way to the fields. It's brief, reluctant, but it happens. And in this village, that's more recognition than most ever get. Your tasks grow heavier now that you're back to full strength. With your foot no longer festering, you're expected to haul loads, dig trenches, and thatch roofs again. The shoes, patched, oiled, softened, help, but they can't erase the pain completely. The wound beneath the scar still sings on cold mornings or after long days, but you wear it like a badge, not proudly, but fully. One evening, you're asked to help the priest repair a broken section of the chapel wall. You agree not out of piety, but because it's something different, something that lets you use your hands without sinking into mud. He watches you quietly as you lift stones, smear mortar, press them into place. "You work hard," he says after a while. You nod. "Hard work's the only thing I have." "Not anymore," he says. You glance at him confused. He continues, "When the Lord sees a man endure pain without cursing it, he often gives him more than he lost." You don't know how to respond. Is that meant to be comfort? A warning, a test, but he says nothing else, just goes back to aligning the next stone. Later that week, the reeve calls for volunteers to assist the miller. Most turn away. The mill is back-breaking, repetitive work. You step forward. It's not heroism. It's necessity. The mill house is old, its stones covered in moss and soot. Inside, the air is thick with flour and dust. The wheel creaks with every rotation, wooden gears groaning as they turn grain to powder. You haul sacks, measure scoops, clear debris. Every muscle in your back screams. The dust chokes your lungs. Your arms are white to the elbows. But you don't stop. Not once. The miller, a quiet man with hands like tree roots, says nothing for hours. But before you leave, he sets aside a small bag of flour, more than your family's share, and presses it into your hands. For your trouble, he says. You blink, stunned. But this... Take it, he interrupts. You'll earn it again tomorrow. You nod, heart pounding. That night your mother bakes bread. Real bread. With a crust. Your brother eats 3 slices in silence, smiling with his eyes. And you taste it slowly. Let it sit on your tongue. Feel the way the heat curls through your belly. For the first time, it fills you. Not just your stomach. All of you. In the following days, small kindnesses trickle in. The blacksmith's daughter leaves a folded cloth on your doorstep, fresh linen, clean and warm. She says nothing, but when you see her next, she looks at your shoes and nods. The midwife who once avoided your cottage stops by to check your brother's cough. Gone, she declares, wiping her hands. Lucky. But you know it wasn't luck. You remember the night in the forest. The shadow watching. The herbs clenched in your dirty hand. The pain in your foot. The sting of the priest's words. You remember it all. And you carry it. One night as you lie beside your brother, who now sleeps soundly, arms flung wide like someone free of fear, you think about your journey. Not the steps you took, but the transformation. You were born a shoeless peasant, meant to walk the dirt, to carry, to bleed, to toil. You thought pain was your lot, your inheritance. But now you've lived through it, and you've come out with more than just scars. You've come out with shoes. Yes, they're ugly, worn, reeking of sweat and effort, but they're yours. You earned them not through favor, but through endurance. You didn't wait for rescue. You became your own, and the village sees it. They don't say it, they don't have to, but when a cart breaks, they call for you. When someone is sick, they look to you, and when the next frost creeps across the fields, you know you'll be the one breaking the ice. You're still a peasant, still poor, still tethered to the land. But now you are more than that. You're one who limped and walked again, who fell and rose, and in a place where most go unnoticed, you've become someone. Not famous, not powerful, but real, solid, wearing shoes. Winter begins to whisper its arrival. The air sharpens. Your breath fogs thicker in the mornings. The dirt path through the village hardens beneath frost. Even the pigs huddle tighter in their pens, and the chickens cluck quietly as they press together for warmth. You pull your cloak tighter around your shoulders and double wrap your shoes with cloth. The leather has held well, but the chill seeps through everything eventually. Still, it's better than bare feet. Infinitely better. One evening you help your father gather brushwood from the edge of the forest. It's the last harvest before the snow comes. He doesn't speak much, he never has, but as he ties a bundle of sticks, he looks at you and says, "You walk better now than most men in this village." You pause. It's not a compliment. Not really. But in his mouth, it's the closest thing to pride you've ever heard. You nod, and together you walk home through the dusk, your arms full, your shoes silent against the frozen ground. Inside the cottage, the fire crackles gently. Your brother is carving something, a crude toy horse from a chunk of firewood. His cough is gone now, and he hums to himself as he works. Your mother kneads dough. Your father hangs the wood to dry. You sit near the hearth, unwrapping your foot carefully. The scar is solid now, pale and sunken in a little. It pulls when you flex it, but doesn't scream. You press on it. It responds with a dull ache, not the white-hot fire of before. You rewrap it with care and set your shoes close to the fire to dry. They've become part of you. And though you know they'll wear out eventually, the thought doesn't terrify you the way it once did. Because now you know how to get more. Not by asking, not by waiting, but by enduring. By crawling if you must. By limping. By returning to the world when it doesn't want you back. That night, the reeve knocks at your door. Your father opens it with a grunt. The reeve nods once and says, "The manor's herd boy has vanished. Probably ran off. We need someone to step in. Temporary." Then he looks past your father straight at you. Can you walk far? You stand without thinking. Yes. Can you run? You pause, if needed. He nods again. Be ready by dawn. Bring nothing but your hands. He turns and disappears into the dark. Your mother looks at you, concern deep in her brow. It's hard work, she says. You nod. I've done worse. And you have. Much worse. The next morning, before the sun lifts you, head to the manor stables. The world is frozen stiff. Grass crackles beneath each step. Your breath curls before you like smoke. But your shoes hold. The cloth is tight. The leather waxed and firm. The manor grounds are quiet. Stone towers rise above the village like silent watchers. You've seen them your whole life, but standing here now, you feel the weight of them in a different way. The stable master, a burly man with hay in his beard, gives you a pitchfork and a glare. Keep the stalls clean. Feed the yearlings first. Don't let the Lord's hunting dogs near the oats. You nod and get to work. The barn is warmer than the fields, but it's alive with movement. Horses stomp, snort, swish their tails. You haul feed buckets and rake out hay. You brush mud from hooves and scrub dried waste from the floor. By midday, your arms ache, your back burns, and your foot throbs. But you don't limp, not once. The stable master watches you from the doorway. He doesn't smile, but he doesn't scold either. That's enough. At the end of the day, you're given a chunk of brown bread and a strip of dried meat, more than you've earned anywhere else. You eat it slowly, perched on the fence outside the barn, watching the sun drop behind the forest. Your hands are blistered again, your shoulders tight, your body tired. But you feel strong. You feel capable. In a world where you own nothing, not even your birth date, you've carved out something precious. A reputation. Not loud, not glorious, but known. You walk back to the cottage in the dark. The path is slick now, frozen ruts catching your steps. But your shoes don't slide. They cling. Your brother is asleep when you return. Your mother waits up, stirring something thin in the pot. You sit beside her. She hands you a bowl. First time working with horses, she says. You nod. They're louder than pigs. She chuckles softly, then rests a hand briefly on your arm. You did good. Another rare thing praise. You sip the broth. It's watery, but it's warm. That night you sleep curled in the straw, your shoes beside you, steaming gently by the hearth. You dream of fields without mud, of walking without pain, of warmth. And when you wake, there's frost on the window, but not in your bones. The cold deepens. It seeps into everything, your breath, your bones, the walls of the cottage, even the marrow of the village itself. The animals grow quieter, the days shorter. Smoke from every chimney spirals toward a sun that seems to barely rise before retreating again. You've started waking up before dawn just to stretch your limbs beside the hearth, to work the ache from your joints before the day begins. Your foot is stiff in the mornings, and sometimes it takes several steps before it feels like your own again. But it's better than before. The pain is old now, familiar, manageable. Your shoes, though worn and weathered, are still holding. The leather is cracked in places, but thanks to the wax, it stays dry. You've stuffed them with old rags, padding the inside to help keep warmth. They're clumsy now, heavier than they used to be. But they're yours, still yours. You spend your days at the manor's stables now. It's steady work, and while you're paid nothing, you eat better than you used to. The cook throws you bones with bits of fat still clinging to them. The stable master lets you drink warm ale when the frost bites especially hard. No one praises you openly, but you've learned to read between the silences. When no one corrects you, it means you've done well. One morning the Lord himself passes through the courtyard. You've only seen him at a distance before, once during the harvest feast, another time when he scolded a miller for shorting the grain tithe. He rides a tall horse with a coat the color of ash, and he doesn't look at you. But his steward does. That's the peasant boy, the steward says. The stable master nods. The one with the bad foot still works harder than most. The steward squints at you. You bow your head quickly, not sure what to do with your hands. He'll do, the steward mutters, then turns away. You don't know what that means. You only know you've been seen. Later that day, while mucking the stalls, you overhear talk of winter inspections of the steward choosing boys from each village to carry messages to nearby hamlets to report the Lord's orders and bring back lists of supplies. It's a rare task, one given only to boys who can walk far and think clearly. At first you dismiss the idea. They wouldn't choose you. But the stable master calls your name that evening. You'll go tomorrow. North Village. Carry this letter, wait for their reply. Don't stop for cold or hunger. Don't lose it. He presses a small sealed parchment into your hand. The wax is marked with the Lord's crest. You nod solemnly. You can walk that far. You hesitate, then say yes, because it's true. At dawn, you set out alone. Your shoes crunch across frost-covered mud. The trees wear coats of ice. Every breath you take feels like broken glass in your lungs. But you keep walking. The road to the northern village is longer than you remember from your last visit, which was years ago, clinging to your father's side, too small to even see above his belt. Now you walk it alone with a sealed message tucked inside your tunic, a crust of bread in your pocket, and the weight of expectation on your shoulders. You walk for hours. You pass frozen ditches, tangled hedgerows, fields dotted with sleeping crows. The sun rises and barely warms the road, but your steps are sure. Your foot holds. By midday, you reach the village, a smaller place than your own, but alive with the same routines. Smoke curling upward, pigs rooting near the fences, children bundled in wool too thin for the season. You deliver the message to their steward. He barely acknowledges you, but offers a bowl of stew and a place near the fire. You accept both with silent gratitude. You rest only briefly, then receive the sealed reply and begin the long journey back. The sun begins to dip, the cold deepens, but your pace doesn't slow. You pass the same trees now shadowed in dusk. Your limbs ache, but your legs do not buckle. You feel every bruise, every stiffness, but none of it stops you. Your shoes are soaked, rimmed with frost. The cloth inside has grown stiff. Your foot screams again, but its voice is hollow now, weak from shouting at a boy who no longer listens. You arrive after nightfall. The steward is gone, but the stable master takes the message and nods. Well enough. He offers no more. But he claps your shoulder once, quick and heavy. The first touch of approval you've felt from him. You head home in the dark, shoes squelching quietly. Your foot is blistered again. The scar stretches angrily beneath the wrappings, but you smile. You've walked far, alone, and you returned. Inside the cottage, your mother hands you a bowl of stew. Your brother claps when you enter. Your father grunts and moves over to make space beside the fire. You sit, remove your shoes, and peel away the layers of cloth. Your foot is swollen, yes. Bleeding, yes. But it's yours, and it carried you. That night before sleep takes you, you lie awake beside your brother and think about what it means to survive. Not just once, but every day. To stand when no one helps you up. To walk when your body begs you to stop. To put on broken shoes and go anyway. And somehow, through all of it, remain something more than what they say you are. A peasant. Shoeless. Worthless. No, not anymore. Now you are the boy who walked farther than he should have, and returned. Spring comes slowly, dragging its feet like an old man. The snow melts in slow patches, revealing muddy paths and straw flattened from months beneath the ice. Everything is brown at first, brown skies, brown earth, brown water sliding in thin ribbons down the roads. But beneath it all, life begins to stir. You wake one morning to the sound of birdsong. It's not beautiful, just shrill and clumsy like a drunk whistle, but it's new. And new means change. The cottage is brighter now. The wind no longer creeps under the door. Your brother is outside, more often chasing chickens barefoot across the yard, yelling and laughing like the sickness never happened. Your mother hangs linen to dry in the soft sun. Your father sharpens tools for planting. And you keep walking. The scar on your foot has flattened, now hardened into a pale memory. It still flares sometimes when the morning dew seeps into your shoes, or when you step wrong on a hidden stone. But it no longer controls you. The shoes, patched again and again, are near the end of their life. One heel is nearly worn through. The laces you made from twisted twine fray more each day. You know they'll fall apart soon, but that doesn't scare you, because now you know how to make more. You've saved scraps from the tanner, bartered for needles, even talked to the blacksmith's daughter, who with the quiet confidence of someone who rarely wastes words showed you how to stitch properly. You'll never make them pretty, she said, but you'll make them yours. So one afternoon, you sit behind the cottage and begin. The old shoes lie beside you, like worn-out friends. You trace the sole onto a new strip of hide. You cut burn the ends. It's clumsy work, slow and frustrating. But by dusk, you have something that almost resembles a new shoe. Your brother watches, eyes wide. Will I get a pair too? Someday, you grin. You wear the new shoes the next day. They pinch at first, rub raw where the stitching overlaps, but they hold, and they're yours. Work in the village continues. You carry stones, dig trenches, help in the fields. You haul sacks of seed and lead the oxen across the thawing earth. The steward's men nod when they see you. The reeve no longer asks if you're fit for duty. The priest once cold nods during Mass when your family enters. Even the Lord's steward occasionally calls you by name. You've become a fixture, a boy who is no longer just poor and barefoot, but known. One evening, as dusk paints the fields in lavender light, you find yourself back by the forest edge, the same place where you once knelt in the cold, clutching yarrow, like your brother's life depended on it. You step inside the tree line, only a little, just enough to feel the old quiet. You sit on a mossy rock, now drier, greener, no longer blanketed in frost. And you breathe. You think of what you were when you first opened your eyes on that straw mattress months ago. A boy with nothing, not even shoes. And now you're still poor, still working harder than any child should, still scolded, still overlooked by the rich. But you are not the same. You've suffered and survived. You've limped and walked again. You've bled and healed. You've begged and built. And through all of it, you carried something far heavier than a wounded foot. You carried dignity, and it never cracked. You stand slowly, feeling the new shoes bend beneath your weight. They creak, but they don't break. You smile, then turn toward home. Smoke curls from the cottages. Voices rise in the air, arguing, laughing, praying. Life continues like it always has, but now you walk with it. You walk with purpose. You walk with strength. You walk with shoes. Now that we've walked the hard, cracked, mud-slicked roads of the medieval village together, take a deep breath. Let your body settle. You're not really barefoot in a freezing cottage, are you? You're warm under your blanket, tucked into your bed shoes, safely beside you. Maybe not hand-stitched leather ones, but still probably far more comfortable. You've spent time in a world where rest is rare, comfort is earned, and survival comes down to whether your foot hits stone or straw. But now you're home. You've left behind the coughing winters, the sharp-eyed reeves, the stink of pigs, and the scraping wind that bites through wool and skin alike. They're all gone now, dissolving into memory. Feel the softness under your back. Let it hold you. The boy with no shoes still limps somewhere in the distance, but his story has come full circle. He's strong now. He endured, and so did you. Let your breath slow. Let your muscles release. There's no more frost outside your door. No chores waiting in the dark. Just quiet now. Just the rhythm of your breathing, the warmth of your blankets, the hum of your world peaceful and calm. And maybe, just maybe, the echo of footsteps walking on old dirt roads, steady-shoed and unafraid. Sleep well.